Today we're doing something special. We're gonna break down the genetic possibilities of a possible breeding. It's gonna be between none other than Sunshine and my boy Blueberry. We're gonna be using real embark DNA results. We're gonna see what the probabilities are as to what color the pups are gonna be, how big possibly, and whether they're gonna have a short muzzle or a long muzzle. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're gonna go ahead and post up Blueberry's embark along with Sunshine's embark. Then we're gonna run a Punnett square on each particular loci, giving you the percentages of what, and then we're gonna bring it all together at the end, and we're gonna be able to know what the percentages are of what we're gonna be getting. So we're gonna start out with the E locus. So for Blueberry, when you have EM, and in this case he has 2 EMs, you run the possibility of having a melanistic mask. And that's nothing more than darkening colors around the muzzle area. So we're gonna go ahead and bring up Sunshine's result, and it turns out that she is EM as well. So we're gonna go ahead and run a quick Punnett square. So we're gonna go ahead and put EM for Blueberry and EM for Sunshine. Then we're gonna go ahead and compute everything, basically bringing down her EMs with his EMs. So it's pretty obvious we're gonna have 100% of the pups with the possibility of a melanistic mask. We're gonna go ahead and check out Blueberry's K loci result, and he is KBKY, meaning
he has a dark last coat of paint. That's what we refer to as the K locus.
We're then gonna go ahead and bring up Sunshine's K locus result, and she is KYKY, meaning she has a transparent last coat of paint. We're gonna go ahead and create a Punnett square. We're gonna set up Blueberry with his KBKY. We're gonna set up Sunshine with her KYKY. We're gonna bring everything down, gonna match it up. As you can see, 50% of the litter is gonna be KBKY. The other 50% is gonna be KYKY. What that means is that half the litter is gonna have
a dark last coat of paint,
and the other half is gonna have a transparent last coat of paint. If this is getting a little confusing for you because it's coming in kind of like an erratic order, just realize we're following embark's order in the same way that they give us our test results. But don't worry, at the very end, I'm gonna wrap it all together. It's gonna make all sense to you. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and jump in to the A loci, and we're gonna check out Blueberry's A loci, and he is AYAT. That means tri-carrier. In order to be full-blown tri, you must have AT. In his case, he's got AYAT, therefore he is a tri-carrier. He is able to produce tri-pups if matched with a full tri. Hold that thought for a second and let's bring up Sunshine's A loci result. She is AT. I just mentioned Blueberry's a tri-carrier. He's gonna match up with an AT or full tri-female, and therefore we're gonna go ahead and run the Punnett square. We're gonna go ahead and set up Blueberry's AYAT. We're gonna set up Sunshine's AT. We're gonna bring it all down. Once we match everything up, you can see that 50% of the litter is gonna be tri-carrier, like Blueberry. The others will be full tri, like Sunshine. The next locus we're gonna jump into is gonna be the D locus. That has to do with dilution. We're gonna bring up Blueberry's result, and he is lowercase d, and that means that he has full dilution. We then go ahead and bring up Sunshine's result. She too is lowercase d. So if they're both lowercase d's, we're gonna run the Punnett square just to show you, but you already know it's gonna be 100%. So we're gonna put Blueberry's lowercase d and lowercase d, Sunshine's lowercase d and lowercase d. We're gonna do what we do with the Punnett square, and you're gonna get 100% of the litter is gonna be dilute. There's not gonna be any strong color. Therefore, you cannot have a black dog coming out of this litter, nor can you have a full brown dog coming out of this litter. We're not gonna jump into the B locus, and this is gonna determine what the base color is gonna be. It's either gonna be black for uppercase B or brown for lowercase b. So now we're gonna jump into the B locus, and we're gonna find out how many of these pups are gonna have a base color of black or a base color of brown. So you know uppercase B is for black, lowercase b is for brown. When we jump into Blueberry's result, you can see he's got a black dominant gene followed by a brown recessive, and that's denoted by a lowercase letter. So his base color is black, but he carries the possibility, and matched up right, of producing brown dogs. So with that, let's jump into Sunshine's result. And Sunshine has 2 lowercase b's, and that stands for brown brown. And so now we're gonna go ahead and set up the Punnett square. We're gonna put Blueberry's black up here and his brown down here. We're gonna go ahead and put Sunshine's brown and Sunshine's brown again. We're gonna run the results, and there you have it. 50% of the litter is gonna have a black base color. The other 50% is gonna have a brown base color, and they're all carrying brown, meaning that even the doggies that are gonna have a black base color have a possibility, depending how you match them up, of producing brown. We're gonna go real quick to the M locus just to check and see if the dogs are Merle or not. So we're gonna jump into the M locus. Really important that you check that every time, and that's to see if either one of these dogs is Merle. I've spoken many times saying you could breed a Merle to a non-Merle, but you just want to make sure that both dogs are not Merle at the same time. So we're going to bring up Blueberry's result. He's non-Merle, non-Merle. Sunshine's result, she's non-Merle, non-Merle. We're going to run a Punnett square. We're going to put his non-Merle, non-Merle, her non-Merle, non-Merle. We're going to run our results, and there you have it. 100% of the litter will not be Merle. The next loci we're going to jump into is going to be BMP3. And this particular loci is going to let us know if they're going to have a long or a short muzzle. You're either going to have A for long muzzle or C for short muzzle. If we look up Blueberry's result, he has 2 A's, meaning he has both short muzzle genes, one coming from his dad and one coming from his mom. Let's check out Sunshine. Okay, she too has AA, meaning short muzzle, one coming from dad and one coming from mom. So again, we already know this is going to be 100%, but we're going to run the Punnett square nonetheless. We're going to put Blueberry's A, and we're going to put Sunshine's A and A. We're going to run the Punnett square, and the result is 100% of the litter is going to come out with the short muzzle gene. Now, let me just make a quick parenthesis here. If you have a dog that's brachiocephalic, meaning his muzzle is way too short to the point where when they breathe, it sounds like they're snorting, that usually means your dog's brachiocephalic and has a soft palate. One of the ways of correcting that is if your dog has AA, you want to breed it to a dog that has CC. This way, when you do the Punnett square, you will have your dog that has the AA and the dog that has the CC. When you bring it all down, what's going to happen is you're going to break the chains, because now they're going to be short muzzle gene carriers and not necessarily full-blown short muzzle gene. If that didn't fix it, you want to go ahead and breed again to another dog that is CC in order to elongate the muzzle enough to where that brachiocephalic and soft palate combination is broken. But between Sunshine and Blueberry, I can tell you neither one snorts. Neither one has too short of a muzzle. They do have the short muzzle genes. It's okay for us to breed it. Right now, we're gonna jump into the next result, which is gonna be the IGF-1, and that's the insulin growth factor, basically the growth hormone. Now, you're gonna notice there's a weight right above it. Normally, that number is off anywhere between 20 to 25. It's usually under that. So if your dog is weighing 25 to 20 pounds over that, that's pretty much the norm. But we're not gonna emphasize so much looking at the weight. We're gonna look more at the IGF-1, and there's 2 possibilities. You're either going to get an I for intermediate or small. Some people call it compact, or an N for large. So we're going to go ahead and put up Blueberry's result, and we have NI, meaning he has a large gene and he has a smaller gene. So he can produce bigger, he can produce smaller. We're then going to go ahead and go into Sunshine's result, and she is II. So in her case, she's either going to produce small, small, or compact, compact, or intermediate, intermediate. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and run the Punnett square. We're gonna go ahead and put his N and his I, and we're gonna go ahead and put her I and her I. We're gonna run the Punnett, and there you have it. 50% of the litter is gonna be NI. The other 50% is going to be double I. So last but certainly not least, we're now going to jump into their health traits. We want to make sure that we're not producing unhealthy pups. So when we pull up Blueberry's result, he's got mast cell tumor, which by the way is nothing to be too alarmed over. All American bullies are coming back with this mast cell tumor. We don't know at this point if it's something that will actually end up developing into some sort of mast cell tumor at some point or not, only time will tell. But I will say, just because your dog has this flag does not necessarily mean that a mast cell tumor is going to develop. If you guys remember years ago, CRD4, CRD1s came out. Then Embark said that it really didn't affect our breed, but the markers are there. The same thing could be happening here. So mast cell tumor is not something to be alarmed. All bullies are pretty much going to come back with it. And if you look right below it, you're going to see ALT activity. You're going to see progressive retinal atrophy, CRD4 and CRD1. I already told you CRD4, CRD1 does not affect our breed. And ALT activity per se means that your dog is going to have low liver enzymes. It doesn't affect your dog's life in any way. You just have to make sure you let your vet know so that if they give your dog a medication and the enzymes come back as base or normal, in reality for that dog, it means that it's high. Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I have found that all dogs that have had 2 copies of the low ALT usually are exaggeratively more muscular. Don't ask me why, I can't prove it scientifically. This is where breeder experience trumps everything else. If you look at Blueberry's result, he inherited both copies of the low ALT activity, which is a win-win as far as muscular development. And he inherited just 1 copy of the CRD1, CRD4. Now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at Sunshine's result. And when you take a look at her result, you're gonna notice she also has that mast cell tumor. And again, this is coming up on all American bullies. So it's not something to be alarmed over. If you look further down, all she has is the ALT activity, and she's carrying 1 copy. She doesn't have CRD1 or CRD4. We're gonna go ahead and run the Punnett square on the ALT activity. We're gonna use capital A for having it and lowercase a for not having it. So we're gonna give him uppercase A, because he has the 2 copies, and she has 1 copy, so she gets 1 uppercase A, 1 lowercase a. We're gonna go ahead and run the Punnett square, and you can see 50% of the litter is gonna come out having 2 copies of low ALT activity, while the other half is going to come in with just 1 copy of the ALT activity. And as far as the CRD4, we're going to go ahead and run that as well. And again, we're going to use a capital C for having it, lowercase c for not having it. So in his case, he carries a copy. So we're going to go ahead and put a capital letter C, lowercase letter c. In her case, she has lowercase c because she doesn't have it. We're going to go ahead and run our Punnett square, and 50% of the litter is going to come out completely clear like mom, and the other 50% is just going to be a carrier like that. And as you can see, this is how you start clearing any other type of disease process or anything that's unwanted. Now, real quick, let me just summarize this and let you know that all these percentages mean these are the percentages going in. It doesn't mean that you're going to get exactly this to the T. So if in any one of these I said you have a 50% chance, and say out of a 10 pup litter, you get 6 pups, meaning 60% that say are brown versus, 40% that are blue, and we were giving you a 50-50, just keep in mind, those are the percentages going into the breeding. Each particular pup has a dice roll based on those percentages. Sometimes they hit right on them. Sometimes they hit a little further up or a little further down. But when you added everything together, you should be somewhere within that range. And guys, here you have the results. There you have it. We're looking at 100% of the litter has a possibility of having a melanistic mask. 50% of the pups are going to have a darker coat of paint. And this one's important in particular, whether you're going to be having a ghost tri, and those are going to be the ones that are going to have that darker coat of paint with the KB, or full tri, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be KY, that are going to have the transparent coat of paint showing full tri. 50% of the litter is going to be tri, 50% is going to be tri carriers, 100% of the litter is going to be diluted, 50% of the pups are going to have a base color that's going to be black, and the other 50% are going to have a base color that's going to be brown. We know that for 100% of the litter, there is no merles. We know 100% of the litter is going to have the short muzzle gene. We know that 50% of the litter on the IGF-1 or growth hormone is going to have a big gene along with a compact gene. We also know that the other 50% is going to have 2 compact genes. As far as Muscularity or ALT activity, we know that 50% is going to be just like Blueberry. They're going to carry both ALT genes, which I already told you I can't prove it scientifically, but based on the dogs I've seen, all of the ones that are carrying the 2 ALT activity genes are usually exaggeratively more muscular. And the other 50% is going to have one of those genes and not the other. And last and certainly not least, we're going to have 50% of the litter that's going to be CRD1 or CRD4 carriers, and the other 50% is going to be completely clear. Now, we know that CRD1 and CRD4 are not pathologies that actually affect our breed directly. Now, the one thing I haven't told you is, regardless of the combinations that you get, the great majority of pups or dogs out there that are being fed kibble are actually being underfed. Not necessarily on calories, but yes, on vitamins and minerals, which can cause your dog to have orthopedic issues that both parents never pass down genetically. If you really want to know how it is that you got to feed your pups so that they can grow without any orthopedic issues, make sure to click on this next video. It's been Raul from the Q. I'll be catching you on the next one.